Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you all to tonight's Cabinet meeting. For those observing online, I'm Councillor Patrick Harley, Leader of the Council, and I'll be chairing the meeting tonight. Before we begin, I'd like to cover a few housekeeping points. There are no planned fire alarms, so if the alarm does sound, please treat it as real and follow the instructions of staff to evacuate the building safely. Please note this meeting will be recorded and made available on our YouTube channel. Can members please raise their hands if they wish to make a contribution? And finally, please remember to use microphones when speaking. So agenda item 1, apologies for absence.
Yeah, thank you. If I can pass on apologies for Councillor Sahota, Councillor Mughal. She said she was going to join online, but I can't see her there. Councillor Adam Aston, he's running late, so he might make it.
Okay, thank you, Showkat. Kathy, was it the same ones? Okay, thank you. Simon?
It's not really my job to do it, but I had a random conversation with the leader of the Liberal Democrats who mentioned that he also needs to submit his apologies as well, so I may as well for him. Okay. I'll be nice.
Thank you, Simon. Agenda item 2, declarations of interest. Do any members have interest to declare under the Members' Code of Conduct? None. Okay, thank you, colleagues. And agenda item 3, minutes. I move that the minutes of the meeting held on the 30th of July 2025 be confirmed as a correct record and signed. Does the Cabinet agree? Okay, thank you. Agenda item 4, 2025-26 Capital and Budget Monitoring Report. I call on Councillor Steve Clark to present the report and move the recommendations.
Thank you, Chair. This report sets out the Q1 capital and revenue budget monitoring forecast for the year 2025-26. The Q1 position is reporting an overspend of 2.5 million against the approved budget of 367.4 million, which equates to 0.7% variation. There's a number of variances across the directorates as set out in the report. However, the key overspends are within legal services and finance of £1 million due to interims and locum costs to cover the vacant posts. Children's services, which is overspending at the moment by 2.9 million due to an increase in the number and costs of placements. The overspends have predominantly been offset by some underspending within utilities and vacancies. The DSG high needs deficit continues to increase and forecasted to be a cumulative deficit of 59.6 million by the end of this financial year. This deficit is funded through cash balances and remains on the balance sheet as a deficit with a statutory override. This is a cost to the council due to utilising the council's cash, which cannot be invested into generate a return to support the budget. This report proposes an increase to the capital programme of 21.4 million, increasing the programme to 180.8 million, which will be funded through grants. The council approved a planned increase to the general fund reserves of £5 million. This is still forecast to be the case. In addition to the £5 million being transferred to the reserves, there is a further 2.5 million which can now be released from the contingency and transferred to reserves. This element of the contingency was created to manage potential risks relating to Bicamo Company, which has gone into administration. Spending controls continue to drive savings in both staff and non-staff costs to support managing budgets. However, like other councils across the country, we continue to see rising costs and pressures in particular within social care. As a result of the demands on services, our financial outlook remains very challenging, but I move the report's recommendations. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Clark. Is there a seconder?
Seconded, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone wish to speak on this item? Okay, I've got Shaukat. Anybody else? Okay, I've got you.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. We note that the report shows £2.5 million overspend, which is mainly driven by children's services and legal and finance. Cost pressures that continue to persist despite plans being in place. The council is also relying on delivering £61.1 million of savings this year, yet £10.2 million is rated as amber, and almost £1 million is already undeliverable. And to plug the holes, your administration is relying on contingencies to balance the books. Can you tell us what will happen when those one-off contingencies run out? Will this mean more deeper service cuts above and beyond those already being implemented as part of your budget that was approved earlier this year?
Thank you, Councillor Ali. The £2.5 million for children's services, it's general. We reported that in Q1. So what will happen over the space of the year? You will see that rise a little bit further, and I believe in P4 at the moment it's something like 4.1 million. So it will rise a little bit further, but then you'll see it drop quite dramatically towards the end of the year, which is just the way that the children's service works in terms of the finance. But we are on course to make at the end of this year, but to have a reserves of just over £36 million worth. So we're still on target to do that.
Okay, and if I can just add on that, although there's an overspend of £2.5 million currently, the budget should be seen as the whole, as was explained yesterday evening at the Overview and Scrutiny Committee. There will be peaks and troughs on the budget, and for period, I think this is 3, you could see an overspend, but periods 5, 7, 8, there could be an underspend, but over the course of 12 months, this will balance out. And reference the contingency pots, there is that £7 million there, which is a one-off, but the other contingency funds are recurring ones, which we would hope to keep putting in the budget year on year until we feel that we've plotted some financial safety. Do you want to come back in, Steve?
Yeah, and just to actually add to that one, because the £2.5 million, even though it was put in a contingency fund, we believe that this was going to happen in the first place. So that contingency fund was made available for that children's services. It was almost ring fenced. So that overspend can be dealt with. So it was expected, but that contingency fund did lead to being able to zero this one out.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Steve. Kazim and then Jackie.
Thank you, Chair. As mentioned yesterday at the overview, and Councillor Casey mentioned, a lot of the savings are down to a reduction in staffing, and a lot of the concerns, as you heard yesterday, is that some of the departments are now facing the consequences, so to speak, of those staffing. So just want on record that, yes, the savings in some areas are being delivered, but they are due to vacant positions that weren't filled or similar. So they're going to be one-off savings, because once you fill some of those vacant positions, they're no longer going to be savings. In this report as well, at the latest review point, the risk was allocated at still the rating of 15. Do you anticipate that going down anytime soon? Or it says in paragraph 32, at the last review point, this risk was allocated the rating of 15. It's the corporate risk register.
With reference to the vacancies to start off with, what we've done is we've completely changed the total operating model of the council. So we've gone down from, I believe it's 62 directors now down to 32, or I think it used 61 to 31, I think you said earlier. So we've completely changed that. So all the middle management will be changing as well. So we've become far more efficient as a council in terms of making sure that we can deliver the services. But I think that's a massive piece of work that's been done. And so I'm delighted that we have been able to achieve the kind of savings that we've outlined earlier, because it is a huge piece of work. We're still right in the middle of it. I think the top layer of directors has been nearly done now. And so then we now move down to the next layer. So the whole summer has been very busy for a lot of the cabinet. So my thanks to them for making sure that that's sorted out. But I think we're on the right track. We're on the right track.
Yeah. Okay, and did you want to come back in?
Well, still need the answer to the second part about the corporate risk. When do you anticipate that going down?
I didn't hear what that is about.
So paragraph section 32, I don't know if you want to get the report up. It says the corporate risk register recognises the risk that the council may be unable to set and or manage its budget so as to meet its statutory obligations within the resources available. At the last review point, this risk was allocated the rating of 15. Do you anticipate that going down anytime soon?
In terms of being able to put a budget forward, yes, we'll be able to put a budget forward. I think that won't be a problem at all, but yes, I think that can go down.
Okay, Councillor Cowell?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. A couple of slightly separate points, so I'll take them separately if that's okay. First one is reference the housing capital programme and the underspend of 26.2 million, which is a substantial part of the 31.9 million, which is anticipated for 25-26 at this point. I just wondered, do we still expect to commence the full capital programme sort of Q4 as we previously discussed? Are we still on course to do that? And in terms of the fact that there is, that expectation that we will be starting later in the year, why haven't we procured earlier? I mean, I know some of the procurement is going on now, but some of the changes to procurement regulations have been known for some time. So just wondered why we were only just doing that procurement. That's the first one. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cowell. It is our intention to start that programme as quickly as possible. I think you've answered your own question in terms of the procurement. The procurement regulations changed. They've become much more onerous, and there is much more required to be done. Like you, I do wish that we could have started on time and be underway with that programme, but we are where we are. We will be starting that, and we will be continuing with the programme that has been presented.
Just coming back on that one very briefly, my point, I think, is we knew that the procurement regs were changing. So how have we got, what I'm trying to get to the bottom of is why we're only just dealing with the procurement under the new, when we could have perhaps done it a little bit earlier.
Thank you, Councillor Cowell. We're not alone in that, are we? It's not only the procurement, it's the tradespeople to carry out the work, it's the materials. But you're quite right, the biggest issue is the procurement process. I suppose the timing was rather unfortunate for everybody concerned with the new regulations coming in and putting forward an ambitious programme that we did.
Okay, thank you. Just one more slightly different question, and that relates to Appendix B. And I noticed the number of apparently the same items listed with different values and different RAG ratings. I just wondered why there was a difference.
Sorry, Jackie. Sorry. Can you repeat that question, please? Sorry.
Yeah, so I'm looking at Appendix D, which is delivery of the savings. Appendix B. there's a great long list, but a number of them do seem to duplicate, except that they then have a different RAG rating and a different value attached. One, for instance, would be Chief Exec's savings resulting from review of communications and public affairs team. That's minus 0.3 and green, or it's minus 0.1 and amber.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Cowell. That's a sort of a presentation point. The review of, for example, of communications and public affairs had a part year saving in across the previous years and this year, and it's just been broken down because it was done in 2 phases. What it's also showing is that of the £400,000 that are due to be saved, of those 300,000 are on green, so they're on track, and £100,000 is amber. So it's not that it won't be delivered. At period 4, we are not at this point assured that all the measures are in place, but they will be in place. The other thing I just wanted to say on the red rags ratings, the reason they're rated red is that at the moment, the assurance the finance team require is not given. So to ensure that we keep an eye on them, we are rating them red so that we can take urgent actions if we need to look at alternatives or change any plans. But anywhere you've got a saving, for example, like communications, if they're rated as green and amber, it's because that element is on track. There'll be different components in those savings, so there will be a number of lines under each of these themes that will then be assessed individually. That's the key. But if you want to point out another one, I can look at that for you as well.
There's actually a number of them. The first page, adult social care, budget support services review. Again, 2 different numbers, 2 different RAG ratings. There's quite a few throughout the document.
So I can clear that up. So what you've got in front of you is a summary of the 157 lines that were presented to council. These are projects, and within those projects there are a number of lines that are specific budget savings. So for example, if there's a saving that equals £10, it might be that project A will deliver £2 of that, project B will deliver £4, and if they're different projects, we're showing them as different and the value, and showing you here the progress that they are making at period 4. So if you need to see the detail level of the projects, I think I could ask the different directors to supply that. But it's just because if you saw all that detail, it would probably go into dozens of pages.
Yeah, I think it's just the way it's being presented. It is a little bit confusing. It does look like a duplication with different, different RAG ratings and different numbers. So I think perhaps a different way of presenting or a different explanation might have been helpful to clarify. I understand what you're saying, but it does look a bit odd when you read it, at that level.
We can take away the presentation and rethink it for the next budget monitoring. I think that's a fair point, yeah.
Or if members wish, they can request to have a one-to-one briefing, particularly if it applies to their particular cabinet or shadow cabinet role. Okay.
Just very quickly, I just wonder whether perhaps a bit more detail could be circulated. It might be helpful to colleagues on all sides so that we can just see the breakdown.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Looks like.
Thank you, Leader.
Talking through me.
So the council papers that were presented to full council in February will give more detail of all these 157 savings. We can represent that in a way just to give a bit more narrative on each line. It is because there were 157 lines of budget, because it's so material, we wanted to show the line-by-line breakdown. But again, let me take that offline, Councillor Cowell, to see what clarity we can give you, yeah?
Okay. Seems like that debate has concluded. Are the recommendations set out in paragraph 2 of the report agreed? Thank you, colleagues. And then on to agenda item 5, progress update on the council improvement plan. The recommendations are there in the report on paragraph 2 of the report. Is there a seconder?
Formally seconded, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Bradley. Does anyone wish to speak on this item? Okay, Councillor Baton. Anybody else? Okay, got you.
Thank you, Leader. So it relates to July 25 and it's the final bullet points. Do you know, I hate IT. Doesn't do what I want it to. It moves all over the place. So where it talks about staff absences due to work-related stress reducing. Staff morale is improving and evidenced by improved staff retention and lowering levels of sickness absence related to stress. I'm not disputing that's happening, but I think we need to have an appendices attached to it demonstrating the data so that we have proof and evidence and assurances that that is actually happening by quarter. You know, I mean, it may have reduced in July from where it was the previous quarter, but actually 12 months ago, it may not be as high as it was in the first quarter. So I think it's that contextual information that is required.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Bainton, and through you, Chair. So that data is available. That's normally something that's done through the scrutiny process, but again, we can provide that if that would be helpful, just to show the trends and where the position is improving, where it's remaining the same, where we have challenges and what we're doing about those challenges. Thank you. Absolutely.
Now we've got Councillor Cowell and Councillor Ali.
Yeah, thanks, Leader. I've got 4 questions, but they're fairly quick. They're not anything too taxing, I don't think. First of all, pages 2 and 3 at various points reference community engagement and resident-centric approach. I'm just really looking for where the evidence is of this, because I don't see that coming through in the sort of day-to-day activities of the council. That's the first question.
Yeah, thanks, Councillor Cowell. So that features in various guises. So, for example, the work we're doing in adult social care to do co-production and look at the way that we review our functions. In terms of for the Cabinet, the bigger piece of work that we are about to commence is the consultation on the new council vision, which again it will be aligned with the 5-year review of the Forging the Future vision. There will be a programme of consultation that will involve residents, it will involve businesses, younger people, all 72 councillors, staff and other stakeholders such as our partners, our volunteers, our voluntary groups, so that we get the development of our vision is very much based on what they feel are the priorities for the borough. So this is the start of increasing the engagement that we have at a corporate level and having, you know, a regular programme in place where we do consultation, we do resident surveys. So we are increasing that. But as it stands at the moment, there is significant engagement. So children and young people, they will engage through youth panels, through family and carer forums. They will have resident meetings. Adults are doing, so for example, there's been several events over the summer around dementia and the future of how our dementia provision and the use of the voluntary sector will be. So there's a myriad of things, but one of the things that we reflect on in our improvement plan is that needs to improve, that engagement with residents. And in housing, through the, you know, the improvement through achieving the tenant satisfaction requirements, those are areas for improvement. So again, there's stuff that is done in teams day to day because of the nature of the work they do, but corporately we want to improve the whole council profile in the way that we engage and consult with residents about the future provision for the borough. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The next question references October 24 and the regulator of social housing notice. There's often talk, well, there's mention in the document of the regulator being pleased, and we often hear that the notice is due to be lifted shortly. I just wondered how close are we, because we don't actually see any physical evidence, any actual written documents as such.
Okay, and I'm not being rude here, Councillor Cowell, but I would recommend you have regular briefings with either your opposition counterpart or the Director of Housing. and that information would be readily available. But I will ask Councillor Bevan to come in and answer that one.
Thank you, Councillor Cowell. This actually falls under Councillor Atkins, but being as I've been involved up until now, I will come in there. Yes, we have been very close to having the notice lifted, and we are very close. We had one or two issues that we wanted to flag up with the regulator before we went ahead. We have no intentions of entering those that field again. So we submitted some extra information which has been reviewed. I understand that a letter will be going to the regulator. It is signed by the Chief Exec and the leader. They will convene a panel or a meeting which will take a couple of weeks, and then hopefully we will receive notification that the regulatory notice has been lifted. But as we have been throughout the process, we just wanted to be fully honest and fully open and transparent with them. We saw something that may have caused a problem, and we wanted to bring that to their attention. It didn't cause a problem, but it did set the process back several weeks. Councillor Cowell, as soon as I know, you'll know.
Okay, thanks for that.
Any other questions, Jackie?
Just very briefly, and these are very brief. The July 25 section references peer assessors providing feedback on scrutiny meetings. I just wondered literally to where, to whom, and sort of how. And also page 6 under August 25 references scrutiny handbook. I just wondered where that was or what it was, basically.
AFTAB is online if AFTAB would like to come there, but I have seen paperwork for the scrutiny handbook, so I think it is imminent. But if AFTAB wants to enlighten Councillor Cowell.
Yes, just through you, Chair, and happy to input. So in terms of the scrutiny handbook, that was taken to the scrutiny committee that took place last night. So that is readily available online if the councillor wishes to have a look at the handbook, and happy to have a one-to-one discussion on the handbook if needed.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Ali? Sorry, Councillor Kelly, did you finished?
The peer assessors, I just wondered what that was about, how they were providing feedback.
Yes, happy to, just through you, Chair, happy to also provide input in respect of that. So LGA peer assessors are providing feedback in terms of our scrutiny meetings. So that took place again last night. We had feedback from the earlier scrutiny meeting, so we are feeding that into the chairs and looking to act upon that active feedback.
And just on that, before I bring in Shaukat, at the improvement board on Monday, was it Monday or Tuesday? Tuesday. One of the LGA peers, I won't say which party it was, but they obviously watch our meetings. They thought our full council meetings were a bit dull and could we spice them up a bit, so which is quite amusing really, when we're all supposed to be one council and all trying to work together. I'm sure it will be. Shaukat, your questions please.
Yeah, thank you. Just two questions. The first one is on section titled March 2025, and it refers to senior management's restructure would deliver 1.2 million. So I just would welcome confirmation whether that is on track to deliver 1.2 million savings, or have the costs increased?
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Ali. Yes, the senior management savings are on track to be achieved as per the plan, so they are on track. Yes.
Okay, thank you. And the second question is on page 68, the section on finance. The council set aside £9.3 million for wider council improvement projects. So can you confirm or share with us how much of that money has been drawn down? And how is the investment being tracked to guarantee a return in savings or improved quality of services?
Apologies, Councillor Ali. Could you pinpoint me to the points that you're referring to?
Yeah, if you go to page 68, section on finance, second paragraph, it talks about £9.3 million for wider council improvement projects. So how much of that money has been drawn down, and how is that funding being tracked to ensure that it's delivering, improved services?
Yes, thank you. Thank you. So in terms of the transformation budget, to draw it down requires a full business case. So on an investor safe proposal, requires a business case, and we are setting up a new capital assurance board that will track all that spend. At the moment, and Claire's on the call, there is very little drawdown on that funding because we've yet to start the transformation programs in real detail. So the 9.3 is there. It's a capital program. It will be administered through the capital programs board that we're setting up. As I say, it'll be subject to an approved business case with a delivery plan and a return on investment profile. But as it stands at the moment, very little has been committed against it because we're still building the projects.
Okay, any more questions, Shoka? No, okay, thank you. Just on this particular agenda item, this has been quite a busy week. On the last 2 days, we've had very senior people from Ofsted, the DFE, and today MHCLG that have been at the Council House and also at the waterfront seeing children's services. Both visits were very, very successful, and without speaking out of turn, I think the three organisations and the three different groups of quite senior representatives were extremely pleased with Dudley's progress. And obviously, particularly with MHCLG, we've gone through our council improvement plan. And a lot of councils, when they've had a notice issued upon them, would probably take 7 or 8 months to prepare their recovery plan. We have not only done that plan, but we're very, very far down the road to actually implementing the vast majority of what they've requested. So an extremely good couple of days with these very influential people, and we have invited them back, both Ofsted, DFE and MHCLG, and we've actually invited them back for the opening of the new special educational school in Pensnet, which will be the new Pens Meadow School. So a good couple of days for the council, and can I compliment the Chief Exec and our senior team for the way they hosted these very important people, because these are the people that we have to convince that the council is on the right track. And I have to pay credit to Councillor Adam Aston and also Councillor Sue Ridney and Councillor Payton, who was attending today on behalf of Councillor Aston, because, you know, a recovery on the route that we are and the pace of change that we are implementing can only be achieved on that cross-party basis through the improvement board. And it is a real improvement board with some friendly criticism and scrutiny by our peers, by the Labour peer, the Conservative peer and the Lib Dem peer. You know, it is not just a talking shop. They really do hold senior members and officers to account. But it is a good board, and the proof is in the report. The proof is in convincing MHCLG that we're on the right track, and at the moment it's good news and it's good progress. And I thank everyone that's been involved in the last couple of days, particularly the directors and chief exec. There are no more questions on that. Is the recommendation as set out in paragraph 2 of the report agreed? Okay, thank you, colleagues. Agenda item 6, there are no issues arising from scrutiny committees that have been reported in advance. I was going to ask the scrutiny chairs in attendance if they have any issues to raise at this point, but I don't think there are any. So we'll take that as read. Agenda item 7, there are no questions under Cabinet Procedure Rule 2.5, and there's no further business, so that concludes this meeting of the Cabinet. Thank you all for attending.